The man with the plan. How you coming along with that new baby, brother Nate?
Yeah, man, it's a blessing. We have a whole new burst of mixed with lack of sleep. We have a burst of energy in the house. It's like, I mean, here's a picture. I'll put a picture up, but
Yeah, throw him up. Let me see. I
look,
gotta bring it on.
that's
Look at that.
yeah, that's a little baby. I mean, you can't see much, but it's a little baby, but you can see how proud my other son is. Like, he's the big brother. Finally, he waited 6 years and now he gets to be the proud big brother. He's so excited about it. Yeah.
That is cool.
I think my son's got better character than I do. At age 6, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to teach him how to ride a bike and I'm going to teach him how to brush his teeth." And my mom tells me a story. My mom says, "You know, Nate, when we brought your brother home from the hospital, you told us after the first day that we should bring him back to the hospital." I'm like, "Oh no."
We're crying.
Yeah.
It's rough for them to get over that. Crying is like piercing.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
We're having fun, man. Your baby's getting big already, man. I saw your broadcast. You're teaching now with the baby strapped to your chest. That's pretty impressive.
I didn't want to do that, Nate. You know what's weird, man? I'm just trying to be transparent.
Yeah.
I'm like, my wife left. I had him over there chilling. He didn't want to chill. He was like, if you ain't got me, then we ain't doing nothing.
No, that's fantastic, man. I actually think it's beautiful because the real deal is that this is what we have to do as parents and as business people. Like, you just mix the two. I brought my son to a house up on 94th Street last week. Sellers loved him. They loved him. They gave him a bottle of water. He's sitting there talking with them. Like,
get out of here.
I got the contract that day too. Same day signing. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's good. I think our kids should be involved as much as we possibly can in this.
It's weird. I don't know about your generation, but my growing up, my parents didn't necessarily include me in any of the stuff. How about you?
Oh, none. Like, it was a forbidden topic to talk about finance and business and no.
That's right.
Yeah. I remember my dad got grumpy the day that I looked up tax records to see how much he paid for his house. House. And I'm like, "Dad, I know how much you paid." He's like, "No, you don't. It's none of your business." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. It's all public record." He was so mad that the government publishes that as public record. And I'm like, "Dad, it's been this way forever, man."
You didn't like that?
No.
Well, we are changing. My thing is we're changing the narrative, Nate. We're changing the way people view talking about money. I'm like, why the hell can't we talk about money?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man, I love that. I love what you do. And Chris, thanks for having me back. And I appreciate the opportunity to come and share. And so whatever questions you have and the group has, the Real Estate Roundup, I'm here. I want to give as much as I can while we're here.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, Roundup. Thank you for joining us today. I am Chris Haskins. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. We made it through Isaiah. Is that it? Did I say it right? Isaias, the hurricane.
Oh, yes. Thank God, man.
We made it through. So I'm praying for the rest of the country. I don't know how you guys are handling it. We were without power for about 2.5 days. We just got it back on late last night. So I'm praying that everybody's watching this broadcast is in good health, man, and in a good place. I know it can be challenging.
Absolutely.
You got to keep pushing through. So Roundup, we've got Nate Armstrong with us today. Brother Nate, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Feeling really good. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And Nate is a real estate entrepreneur. I asked him to come back on here for you guys because from time to time things change. And Nate just has a master system that he's put together. It's unbelievable. We're using him too to drive in leads from the social media and Facebook thing. Nate, let's see what you got, my friend.
All right. Awesome. So quick update. We got 7 deals in 17 days, and I'm going to be showing, and I'm not at all saying that to like brag or boast or anything like that. I want to just show what's possible when we really crack the code of this social media stuff. So what I'm going to basically be going through is I'm going to show you a system that will help bring in quality seller leads that want help. Okay. There's a big difference between doing cold calling and driving for dollars and all these other methods. Usually most real estate entrepreneurs are reaching out to sellers, asking them to sell to them. And I don't want to look at that at all today. I'm looking at, let's get sellers to come to us. Mm-hmm. Let's change the positioning. Okay. And that's why we were able to get 7 deals in 17 days.
Nice.
And,
Ready for me?
what I'm going to do too, down in the comments below, I'll put a little link to, I'll make sure that everybody gets our 2-step buyer funnel. If anyone like wants buyers, this is the funnel that literally helped bring me over 100 buyers that actually closed on houses with us. Wow. So it's pretty powerful little tool, but I'll make sure that we get that with the comment section.
Is that cash people, Nate, or these rent to own down payment people? What type of buyers are we looking at?
Both, about 3/4 cash buyers and about 1/4 rent to own buyers.
Gotcha.
It's just a little tiny tweak in the funnel to make it set up for either one.
Cool. Okay. You can send me that link. I'll put it in there.
Cool. So my name is Nate Armstrong. I appreciate all of you guys jumping on today. A couple things. I'm not going to take long on this because I want to get into the meat of this stuff. I painted houses to pay for school. I struggled to figure out this whole entrepreneurship thing and real estate thing. Most important to me in my life is, number 1, I'm a man of God. Number 2, I'm a husband. Number 3, I'm a father. And I take those very seriously ahead of all of my work stuff. So that's just my principles. I want to state that. And then I got to co-found a pretty cool company called Home Invest, and that did a lot of real estate stuff. But what I want to talk about now is I want to actually show you the journey with this social media stuff so that you can start implementing it into your real estate business now. And for me, my journey went like this, and this is how I figured out the hack of social media. I started by knocking on doors. There's this phrase of, you've heard of cold calling probably, where you're calling people. Well, another way that real estate investors used to get properties is knocking on doors. And I used to door knock. I've been there. I've done it. I've had doors shut in my face. I've gone through the tough ways of doing it to figure out the better way. And then eventually I did enough deals where I got cash to start doing flips, and then flips turned into rentals, and I started stacking up rentals. Well, for me, what happened is I had a developer that came to me and said, hey, you're doing well with your rentals. Why don't you come and invest in this big development project that I have? And my job was basically to put in some cash and sign a loan guarantee, a personal guarantee. And I jumped in. It looked like a good opportunity. I jumped into it. And then what I figured out really quick is that the project was much bigger than the developer thought, and the city was being much harder on us than we thought. So it was quickly over budget. And the next thing I knew is the developer came to me and said, Nate, I'm so sorry, but we're never going to come out alive on this thing. Let's just both quit now. I'm out. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like, I got my personal guarantee. It means I owe the bank money whether the project succeeds or fails. I can't just walk away. And we had my cash in it, other investors' cash. Like, it was really scary. It was $6 million in debt. And our monthly expense on it was $50K per month. That's to service the debt, the interest, the taxes, the insurance. Like, it was a massive. I wasn't making 50 grand at that time, nowhere even close to that. So for me, I started selling everything I had. My rentals that my wife and I worked on for 10 years.
Wow.
10 years, sold them, downsized. Other people told me to quit. And it was my wife that said, hold on a second. I think you just need to change your perspective. She actually started going biblical on me and started pulling out Bible verses and saying, hey, you got to pull yourself out of the middle of this forest so you can get your head above the tree line and think about this. Are you networking with people? Are you talking to people for more solutions? And she actually got me back into Facebook. She said, why don't you go find some other friends that are doing real estate at a high level? Maybe they've got ideas. Maybe they've got solutions. And the next thing that I saw a past person that I knew once upon a time was doing a deal per day, almost a deal a day on Facebook. And I'm like, what the heck? How is this possible? He was literally getting house after house after house. So I reached out to him and I'm like, dude, you got to show me this stuff. I really need this. I'm in trouble on a development project and I need to do a lot of deals really fast. Please help me with this. And he said, well, if I show you this stuff, like, it's going to take me time. So you got to pay me. And I said, okay, fine. I'll pay you, man. So I paid the guy. Next thing I knew, I got 5 seller signed contracts. And for those of you that have wholesaled before, and maybe let us know too, if you can use the comments, I'd love to know this as we're going. Are you looking to wholesale? Are you looking for rentals? Or are you looking to do buy, fix, and sell? Or if there's something else, go ahead and type it in the comments. And I can tailor what we're going to talk about today based on that. But for me, I was looking to wholesale. And when I got these 5 seller signed contracts, this was like if I had been walking through the desert for a week without water, this was seeing a waterfall, because this gave possibility. It gave hope again. And for me, like, I took that and I started running with it. And then eventually we got to this. This is the first ever in my life that we had $100,000 a month. So I went from sweating out the bank to making a good payday. And then eventually that led to paying off the big development projects. I lost my tail on them, but I was happy just to have them behind me. And then I had the monkey off my back, and I was able to start running fast. My business partner and I, we did a lot of deals, did over 100 deals for 3 or 4 years in a row. We've averaged 100 deals per year for the last 5 years, basically. And it led us to an award. It was pretty cool. But I don't want to really get into that stuff. I wanted to show you like what's possible, and for me, like what became reality, so that you can take this stuff and implement it for your business. So here's how it works. We're going to talk about what we call inbound wholesaling. Chris, have you ever heard that term before?
Inbound wholesaling? No.
Inbound wholesaling. We have pioneered this. And don't worry if you're like, oh gosh, Nate, I just want buy and holds. I don't want to wholesale. That's okay. What the concept is inbound traffic coming to you. Let's bring sellers to you. You can do whatever you want with the house after you get the house, but let's get traffic coming to you inbound, coming into you, asking you for help. Now, the number one thing that I hear from people when I start to talk about inbound leads or inbound wholesaling is, well, Nate, I just need more leads. Like whatever I'm doing now, like I just need more leads. And I want to paint a little bit of vision on this. The reality for most people is that we don't need more leads. We just need better quality leads. We don't need to cold call 300 people to get one deal. Like that's insanity. Instead, let's just get 15 people to come in that are inbound inquiring about our services and close one of those. It's way less work for us. And so what I did after I got those first 5 sellers signed contracts, I started geeking out on this stuff because I really wanted to figure it out. And I hired a big fancy marketing agency. And I'm like, hey, I got these first 5. You guys help me build this thing so that I can get 5 every single month. I want more and more and more. And so they built out this big, sophisticated, what they call a funnel for me. And I paid them 12 grand. Here's literal copies of my wire transfers to them. And after it was up and running, I ended up getting 0 deals from it. I got some leads, but I got 0 deals from it. And I'm like, what the heck? How is that possible? Like, this is one of the best marketing agencies out there. I don't get it. I don't get it. And so I scratched my head for a while, but eventually I'm just like, just cut it off. I can't burn any more of that money. I'm going somewhere else. I went to another marketing agency. I paid them $4,300 and I had a similar experience. The difference on this one is I literally got 0 leads from what they produced. 0. And after that, I'm like, hold on, at least give me what you built so then I can tweak it from here. I can probably adjust it enough. And then the agency owner explained to me, he's like, well, Nate, I'd love to give it to you, but we built it on our platform. All the ads, all the funnels, they're all built on our stuff. So you can't just like take it with you. So then I learned the secret of agencies. Most agencies, they want you on their platform so that you pay a monthly retainer to them forever. And so I lost that $4,300 and I'm like, okay, that's it. And I just decided at that point, I'm like, I am not outsourcing this stuff. I figured this out on my own with the help of someone else that was doing it. I'm just going to leverage that person more. And I'm really going to crack this code and make this stuff work. So I started and I realized in the process, like why these agencies were breaking down. The agencies are breaking down because they don't do what Chris does. They don't talk to sellers every week or every day in some cases. They don't do what you do or I do. So they don't know the pain that a seller is going through. So they can't write the language like you or I could. Most agencies, they work for realtors, which is totally different than what we do. They work for attorneys. They work for grocery stores. Like they do all kinds of different businesses, but they're not a specialist in what we do. I'm going to get into the actual ads in the copy that I use on this broadcast. So you'll see one of my best converting ads in just a little bit here.
Nice.
Well, after I figured that out, like I said, okay, I'm all in. I took this stuff over. I started paying attention to where leads fell off. I started paying attention to where my conversions were bad. And after geeking out on it, like I figured it out and I got this thing scaled up to the point that you were able to see the scale at. And then about a year ago, I started having a lot of investors coming to me saying, Nate, will you help me? Will you teach me this? Will you do it for me? And so we started doing it for people, like building their campaign, getting them up and running, and then we give it to them so that they can run with it from there. And this is one of our clients. This is Sandy. Sandy came in and it was funny. Her 3rd week working with us, she was really frustrated. You can see here, like she posted something really nice. She got 3 deals in 1 week, but that was her 4th week. On her third week, she's like, well, I need more leads and like something's wrong. And what we figured out is that there was a conversion that was wrong in her system. So this is 3 parts. It's generate leads, talk to sellers, make offers. Generate leads, talk to sellers, make offers. And if any of those 3 is broken, then the whole system's not going to work. So we figured out the broken piece in Sandy's. We helped her fix it. The next week she came back, she had 3 seller signed contracts. Bam. So it wasn't that Sandy needed more leads. She needed good quality leads, and she needed a little bit of help with conversions. And it's similar in most real estate investors' businesses too. You need quality leads that are coming into you. Now, most investors, what they're doing is they're running around and like kind of sucking up to realtors and chasing deals. And that's bad positioning. Think about it. If you're going to someone and saying, please, will you do this? Versus them coming to you asking for your help, can you feel the difference in positioning? It's drastic. So we want people coming to us asking for our help. Okay. This is another one of our clients, Scott. And this is actually eventually how I got to meet Chris. Scott came to us a year ago or so, and he saw what I was posting on Facebook and said, hey, your numbers look too good to be true, but I want a piece of this. Help me. So what we did for him is this. First, we built a Facebook business page. Okay. Not a huge feat right here. If you don't have one already, then you put up a business page that looks something like this. Now, the most important part is that we started writing ad copy that enters the conversation that's going on in the mind of the seller. And this is where I'm going to need everyone's help, okay? And this is a picture of a probate courthouse. Now, why probate court? One of the best lead sources that I get are people that are going through a process known as probate. You ever bought probate houses, Chris?
Absolutely. Yep. All the time.
All the time. So then, Chris, you'll be able to help with this. And anyone that's listening right now, I want you to write the comments that comes to mind for you. When we want to reach someone through marketing, what we want to do is we want to write copy, the words on the ad that speak to their pain points. What keeps them awake at night? What do they worry about? What are they frustrated with? And we want to write copy that addresses that so that we can be a solution provider for them. So, Chris, what's the number one complaint you hear with people that are stuck going through the probate process?
They inherited the house and they just don't want to deal with the family. Either it's a family issue or they already have their own house to deal with.
Bingo. That's one of my 2 greatest complaints that I hear from probate sellers. They don't want to argue with brother and sister. They don't want to argue with so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second biggest one, and you guys tell us in the comments, what do you think is the biggest complaint that you hear from a probate seller? The second biggest one that I hear is the stuff. I don't know what to do with mom and dad's stuff. There's so much stuff. Yeah. And I heard another investor call it junk, but it's very important to distinguish. We want to use the words that they use. They're not calling mom and dad's stuff junk. They're calling it stuff. And so I learned this lesson actually when I was closing on a deal in Woodbury, Minnesota. I was sitting down with the seller, signing paperwork, and he turned to me after we signed everything. He's like, Nate, I could have sold this house for 10 grand more to somebody else. I'm like, oh, really? Chris, why didn't you sell it? His name was Chris with a C. Chris, why didn't you sell it to somebody else? The other person. And then he explained to me, he said, well, Nate, here's the thing. You're giving my sisters and I enough time to go through all the stuff. And we were really worried about that. There's years of stuff in there. The other thing is you promised my sister she could come back and see the renovation after it's done. And to us, that means more than the 10 grand. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
I learned so much that day. Now, when we write this ad, and this is what we did for our client, Scott, is we wrote the ad copy around the pain points that his seller is going through. So an ad like this might look something like this. Are you tired of dealing with the probate process? Don't know what to do with mom and dad's stuff? Don't want to argue with your brother or sister about what to do with the house? Hi, I'm Nate from Nate Buys Houses. I've been helping probate sellers just like you for the last 2 years. I can help you by XYZ and start filling in more copy after that. That's the level that we got to take this stuff to, okay? So far, what we've talked about, and we've covered a pretty good amount of iceberg type topic. I want you to picture this ad like an iceberg. There's the tip that sticks out of the water, and then there's the stuff that's below the waterline. The Titanic, when it hit an iceberg, it didn't sink because of what stuck out above the water. It was what was below the water, because an iceberg, the majority of the mass is below the water. So when we talk about these ads, you see the tip of the iceberg, but what we really need to understand is what's below the water. So let's get down below the water. So what happened with Scott is that Scott, he sent this really nice post. He got 2 contracts. He was super happy, all pumped up. And then I texted him to check in 2 weeks later. Hey, Scott, how's it going? He texts back, I had to turn it off. And so I called him like, dude, what do you mean you had to turn it off? And he said, well, Nate, you don't understand. We got so many leads, we couldn't keep up. So we had to turn it off. And I'm like, okay. So then he started running on Saturdays and Sundays. Eventually, he was so impressed that he made a nice testimonial video for us. He then introduced us to his mentor, Ron LeGrand, who's a mutual mentor of Chris and I. And then I ended up, through another colleague in the space, ended up getting introduced to Chris. So it's like this full circle events all the way around, just by getting the right ads up there for Scott, for his business.
Nice.
Now, I want to get into the next layer below the waterline. We've talked about what's above the waterline, the ad. On your screen right now, you can screenshot this if you want, or you can catch the recording of this, the replay later if it's posted on Chris's page on his YouTube channel. This right here is the ad that I'm using. This is the tip of the iceberg, okay? What makes this thing work is what's below the waterline. So I want to take you a level below the waterline right now. No one will teach you this stuff, but this is where your ad performance goes up tremendously.
Let me reintroduce you real quick, Nate. We got 55 people here, just for people that are coming on.
Yeah, please.
Round Up family, thank you for joining us. I know sometimes people don't, they come halfway through. We're with Nate Armstrong today. He is doing a class on Facebook ads, social media marketing. He's driving in. He is the geek behind the system, behind the screen for us too. I mean, the leads, you can crank them up and crank them down as much as you want. Nate Armstrong going over Facebook marketing ads. All right, brother Nate.
Thanks, Chris. And thanks for everyone for jumping in too.
Yep.
So right now we're just getting to the good stuff. So you made it just in time. So this right here, this is one of my best ads right here, but it's not what's necessarily above the waterline on the iceberg. It's what's below the waterline. So I want to take you a step below. Okay. Below every ad on the Facebook newsfeed or even an organic post are the comments. A lot of people don't have any idea what to do with the comment space, and that's dangerous. The comments are kind of like your own little party. Think of it like this. If you're going to host a party and you invite a bunch of people over, if you just let them all into a room together and you don't have like some music and maybe some beverages and start the conversation, then the party could go in a direction you have no idea it's going to go. But instead, if you get in there and start making introductions, you turn on the music, you start connecting people, then the conversation takes off and the party gets started in a good way. You want to do the same thing with your ad. The comments below, you want to start the party. So what I've got here, I'll zoom in on these right here. I've got a picture of myself right here with someone that I help with their house. And I wrote, we also got to help John with his house. And then I got another picture of myself and a woman named Mila with her house, picture of us standing in front of her house. We helped Mila with her house. So this seeds the comment thread. This gets conversation started in a positive direction, just like you'd start a party. So you want to take advantage of that because Facebook will give you more, I don't know a better word than this, but like street credit. It'll give you more reach. It'll give you more push for less cost when people are engaging with your posts, when they're sharing it, when they're liking it, when they're commenting on it. If it's not getting any action whatsoever, then Facebook sees it and they're like, oh, this one's not very popular. I'm going to charge more for this because they want their users to have a good experience on the platform. So we want to start that party for them. Okay, so summarizing this first section, you don't need more leads. You need quality leads. Big difference. Quality inbound leads. Okay, next, when people come to me to ask for help with this stuff, a lot of people will say to me, well, Nate, all the sellers that I'm working with now, they all want full market price. I can't do any deals because they all want full market price. Here's the reality. With social media sellers, when these people are coming to you through social like this, they want to be treated fair. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be paying above, below, or at market price. It just means they want to be treated fair. And I want to show you how you can treat them fair and still make good profits for yourself. This is a picture of a 1977 Chevrolet pickup truck. My dad had one just like this. This unfortunately isn't his truck, but I couldn't find a picture of his. So on this truck here, he had it for sale for $3,000. It was older at the time even. And I was painting houses to pay for college. And I needed a truck. And I went to my dad and I'm like, hey, Dad, will you sell me your truck? And he's like, yeah, how much are you going to pay for it? And I said, well, I looked up the Kelly Blue Book value and it's worth $2,000. I'll pay you $2,000. And my dad laughed at me and said, no, it's worth $3,000 to me. I want $3,000. I'm like, Dad, but it's not worth $3,000. He said, I don't care. I want $3,000. Another guy came along and saw the truck for sale and came to my dad and offered him almost the same thing that I offered him, around $2,000. And my dad said, nope, I want $3,000. That's it. And then I started thinking about it and I'm like, gosh, if I just had that truck, I could get more paint jobs of the big houses, the one that you need the big ladders for. I couldn't haul the big ladders at this time. I didn't have a ladder rack on my vehicle. So I went to my dad and I'm like, Dad, if I had that truck right now, I could get these big paint jobs. So you know what? I'll pay you the $3,000 for your truck. I'll pay you the $3,000. Now, at this point, I'm pretty sure my dad kind of tuned out the rest of the conversation. He was just happy to hear yes to $3,000. So he shook my hand and said, okay, $3,000 sounds good. And then I said to him, but I don't have the $3,000 today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make monthly payments to you. And after I get these 2 really big paint jobs, then I'm going to pay off the truck. Well, he agreed to it. We signed a little promissory note and I bought that thing. I got the truck. I got bigger ladders. I got the 2 paint jobs that I wanted. I made the money by using the truck. And then I went back and I paid Dad off. Now, that was my first seller finance deal. I didn't know it at the time. No one was there to teach me or anything like that. But I want you to take the same principle. Now think about this. That truck, I didn't come out of pocket to buy that truck. That truck paid for itself and then it became an asset for me. Now, some people on the surface might say, well, Nate, you overpaid for the truck. You paid more than market value. And you'd be right. But at the end of the day, I didn't pay anything for it. That thing paid for itself. Chris, is that making sense?
Yeah.
I know for you, you do this a lot with sellers. So the next time that you're sitting down with the seller and the seller's stuck on their number, like my dad, I want you to think about my dad in his 1977 truck. Think to yourself, okay, the seller wants $100,000. They're firm on that. And they're not going to budge on their price. I wonder if I could give them the 100, but pay them over a 15-year window and make monthly payments to them. And then if I can collect rent that's higher than the monthly payment that I make to them, then I can create cash flow for myself. That's what I did on the truck. I created cash flow.
Nice.
That's a beautiful thing when you start doing the seller finance deals. Okay, next, for those of you that are still a little bit in COVID sensitive areas, then you might want to take notes on this one. I bought this house, 4729 North 20th Street, during the COVID crisis, 100% without meeting the seller. I never walked it. I never met the buyer. I wholesaled it 100%, all virtual. And what's happening right now because of this whole COVID thing is that some sellers are a little sensitive and they don't want people in and out of their house, understandably. So what we're able to do is say, you know what, Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, what I'll do is I'll put your house under contract if we agree on the terms and the offer price. I'll put your house under contract. And then only if we agree on everything, then I'll send an inspector through the property. Well, what I do instead of sending the inspectors, I send my buyer. I find one buyer that loves the place, and then I send my buyer through the house. And as long as my buyer loves it, then we sign the contract with the buyer and we close on the deal. And that's what happened with this property. Now, this plays one other really big thing. This might be an aha moment if you're also in an expensive market. If you're in a really expensive market, you can do this entire business remotely. I've got one member right now that literally he was doing it in Sacramento, did pretty good with it in Sacramento, but the ad cost was high and it was really competitive. So he decided to take our advice and go with this nationwide campaign, and he started crushing it. He's got about a deal per week lined up right now in the last 6 weeks. Sent me a beautiful text message about it. So it's possible to do it and on other fronts like that too. Chris, have you ever done anything remote, or do you stick close to home for everything?
I've done some stuff, but I prefer to stick close to home. I'm a buy and hold more looking now, but yeah, everybody has a different equation, but we like to stay kind of where I can drive to.
Yeah, yep. And I prefer close to home too. But if you're in a market that doesn't allow it, then just know that there's options out there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit old way versus new way. Old way is kind of like watching a VHS cassette tape, watching a movie. New way is kind of like Netflix. In real estate, old way is cold calling. You call sellers, say, hey, you want to sell your house? Seller says, no, take me off your list. That way is not so fun. Auctions can be really good, but a lot of places have paused them. Are you still on pause in your area?
You know what? A few are getting through the cracks. Obviously, nothing went down this week. I mean, the whole city's out of power, but yeah, it's still hit and miss. It's picking up, Nate, but it's still running a little slow.
Okay, got it. Direct mail can work if you've got really good marketing stamina, meaning you're going to send out several pieces and keep hitting it. It's really expensive to test. You got to be ready to have long-term stamina for direct mail.
Yep.
Bandit signs, these are a pain in the keister. They can work, but they are a pain in the butt. That's it. Putting them out, managing them, taking all those calls. But here's what happens with most of us real estate entrepreneurs. And I was this guy. Like, I'd hear about one thing, shiny object, cold calling, then expired listings, then probates. And like, I was running and trying all these things. And then something would come along like a Facebook ads. And I would say to myself, well, hold on a second. Don't those cost a lot of money? Don't you have to like do tech stuff? I'm not going to do that. And I go on to the next thing. Here's the thing. Whenever something's a little bit harder than the other thing, it eliminates 90% of the competition.
Good point.
Gonzo.
Good point.
So the whole Facebook ad thing, like that's the biggest untapped market right now, based on the size and the number of users that Facebook has and the number of people that are doing real estate investing ads. It is almost untapped. So it's a wealth for us right now to be able to jump onto it. So I want to get into the third section that specifically talks about how to treat sellers fair. Okay. So it works like this. What you want to do, I want to show you this. What you want to do is this. When you're meeting with the seller, know that the seller, whether they say it or not, they have pressure on their shoulders during that meeting. The number one investment, the largest investment that most people make in their entire lives is their house, not their 401k, not their kids' college. It's their house. They're paying that monthly payment every single month, whether they want to or not. Yep. They're creating equity in the property. So when they sit down with you to sell or they talk to you on the phone about it, they've got pressure on their shoulders. So what we want to do is we want to practice relieving the pressure. And I want you to think of it like this. You're seeing on your screen right now a steam engine locomotive. A steam engine, the way that it's powered is that they heat up water. They burn coal, they heat up water to produce steam, and steam gets pushed through these small metal pipes down to the pipe at the rail to push that wheel on the rail. There's 18,000 pounds of pressure in that pipe. Now, when I first heard this, I thought to myself, like, gosh, why don't those pipes explode more often? Because there's so much pressure in them, pulling all that weight. But the reason that those pipes never explode is because the engineers designed it with a pressure relief valve. That every time it feels too much pressure, it just automatically opens the valve and lets the pressure out of the room. So when you meet with a seller the next time, I want you to practice opening up the valve. Let the pressure out of the room. I'm going to give you one thing that you can do, and I want to tap Chris on this too, because I've heard Chris talk about this before in different broadcasts. When I meet with the seller, the first thing that I say, literally as I'm shaking hands at their front door, or if I'm talking on the phone, it's, hey, I'm Nate. So glad we got to connect. Just so you know, if this works, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. It's totally cool. You might be able to refer somebody else to you. Cool. And then we start the conversation. Chris, what do you do to just keep it cool?
Yeah, you can tell, Nate, obviously you've been in a million houses. When you get there, that is just so tense from time to time, and I just let them know, listen, I don't even know if we're going to buy your house or not. This may or may not work. I might not even be the best situation for you, right? But we'll still be friends after I leave out of here. We don't even know if we're going to buy the house yet.
Wow. We don't even know if we're going to buy it. This may work. It may not.
Yeah.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the expert, Chris, like just let the pressure out of the room. And if you start to feel the pressure building up again, it's okay to rephrase it again. It's okay to remind them, hey, just so you know, if this works, great. If it doesn't, that's cool. No sweat. And then that will take their guard down. Otherwise, if you don't do that, internally, whether they show you this or not, internally, they have a fence up and they're thinking, no, I'm not going to be beaten in negotiation. No one's going to take advantage of me. And for us to really be able to help them, we have to genuinely understand their situation. Are they current on their mortgage? What is the mortgage balance? What is their needs? Do they need some cash? Do they need to move right now? Like, we have to really understand those things to actually serve them. So we want to let the pressure out of the room so that we can step in and actually be a consultant for them. Now, the other thing that I want to do is this. I want to teach a principle that Archie Williams taught. Archie Williams, if you haven't met this guy yet online, brilliant. This man, unfortunately, went through a bad situation when in his early 20s, he got convicted of a crime that he never committed. Literally, there were 3 witnesses that testified that he was not at the crime scene, that he was somewhere else. But there was a bloodthirsty jury and a bloodthirsty legal system that wanted someone locked up for a really bad crime. They threw this guy away in his early 20s. They locked him up in the bloodiest prison in America in his early 20s in Louisiana. And he literally had 3 life sentences, no chance of parole, 0. And you'd think that going through an experience like that, like for me, at least in my heart, I would be so mad, so bitter, I probably would have imploded or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, he ended up eventually getting freedom because there was a nonprofit that discovered his case and they found new evidence that set him free. But this guy, in the very first interview, as he walked out of jail, they said, like, aren't you mad? Like, what's going on in your mind? And he said, no, I'm not mad, man. I never gave up. Never once. I had faith in God. I never gave up. Never, ever gave up.
Wow.
Powerful words, man.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. And then what I want you to remember is when you're working with sellers, that just because you hear a seller say, well, hey, I want this price, I want retail price, I don't want you to give up on that seller. I mean, if you were asked the same question about your house or your truck, like my dad, you're probably going to say you want retail price too. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that sometimes we got to hang in there with the seller. To back this up, Pro Sales Connection, you can look the stat up online. They found that 80% of deals like this are made after the 5th contact. Now, what happens to the average investor or the newer investor is that they call the seller once, they hear the seller wants retail, and they say, yeah, okay, I'll follow back up with you. And then they never follow up again. They write that person off in their mind as, oh, they want too much, I'm never going to follow up with them. And then I thought that stat was kind of aggressive. So I looked up more, and National Sales Executive confirmed it. They actually said that 80% of deals are made between the 5th and the 12th follow-up. So that's where the experienced investors are picking up the deals, in the follow-up, the follow-up, the follow-up. So like Archie says, don't give up. Like, you can't give up on these people. Let the pressure out of the room. Don't give up on them. You got to keep working with them. Sometimes they need a little more time to make a big decision like this. So the truth for this whole section we've just covered here is that your offers, it's not that people want ridiculous prices. It's just that your offers have to come from the heart. They got to feel it. The pressure's got to be out of the room, and we got to follow up with them. Now, a lot of people ask me about ad costs. Here's the thing with ad costs. Ads can range anywhere per lead from $5 to $100, but it's not a very good measurement. In fact, if someone said, well, Nate, I'm getting leads for $5, I would question if they were good or not. Instead, what you want to measure is, if I put $1 into this machine, how many dollars do I get back out? That's called return on ad spend. That's the best measurement possible. Return on ad spend. Some people ask me, well, Nate, how long does this take? Here's the thing. When you start getting into digital leads like this, your time actually is saved because the follow-up is saved. You don't have to call people 10 times. When I'm talking about 5 follow-ups, what I'm doing is I've got a voicemail drop that goes to them automated. I've got text messages that are automated, and I've got emails that are automated. That's the majority of my follow-up to start the process. So you can actually start to save time when you've got digital leads like this. Now, did Moses make it to the promised land? Anybody else care to guess too? Type in the comments. Did Moses make it? Did Moses make it over? Moses led his people out of slavery, led them all the way across the desert. They parted the Red Seas, like this amazing feats. He gets to the edge of the promised land, doesn't cross in, instead pauses for a moment and says, you know what? We need to scout out the land first. He picks out 12 scouts from his groups, from the tribes, and says, okay, we want you to go into the land and check things out. See if it's good for us. Is it safe for us? The 12 scouts go in, they come back. 10 of the 12 scouts report back to Moses and the group that it's too dangerous to cross over. The people there are giants. 2 of the scouts say, no, we can make it. We got this. God's at our back. We got this. Well, because the 10 outruled the 2, Moses and his entire generation ended up wandering in the desert for 40 years. Moses died in the desert, sadly. He got stuck on one form of thinking. And it makes me start to wonder, like, how often is it that we go throughout our lives or our business thinking that something is the way that it is, when really a little bit of different thinking might change everything for us? And I want you to ask yourself these questions as we go along together, okay? And you're thinking, now, do you know how to do this business remotely? Because right now with COVID, Some sellers don't want you in their house. Do you know how to work with them in a remote environment? Do you know how to run engagement ads? Do you know how to set up a Facebook business manager? Do you know how to create a Facebook instant form? Do you know how to get these leads sent to your cell phone? Do you know how to automate this stuff? Do you know how to respond to comments in your ads? How about apartment buildings? We got this apartment building that you see on your screen for $700,000. I sold it to a guy for $800,000 same day. I didn't put up any money. It was just a wholesale. He came back to me and wanted to resell it because he didn't like the tenants. So I said, okay, if I help you sell it, then I get paid again, right? He said, yeah. We sold it for 1.2 million. Look at this. We bought that thing for 700. We sold it for 1.2. We never would have got a deal like that from a broker. It just wouldn't physically happen on the market. We got that because of ads like this. So as you're asking yourself these questions, I just want you to think about this. Moses didn't make it to the promised land. It was the group of the new thinkers that made it to the promised land. Why? Because they thought differently. They thought differently and they were able to cross over. So for you, you've got a choice. You can either keep trying to grind it out the old ways, and it's not your fault that those are tough. It's hard to make those things work, like VHS cassette tapes, or you can cross over to the new way. And the thing with the new way is that you're probably going to need someone to show you how to do it. And that someone, it does not have to be me. I know it's convenient to say, well, Nate, hold on a second here. You're teaching us this stuff, but you do this stuff. You can use anybody you want. If you're going to use someone, I want you to have these criteria for them. Do they have results in a non-coaching or non-agency environment? I already told you how I feel about agencies. Agencies, they're not, their incentives aren't aligned with yours. Okay. With coaches that are out there, coaches are fantastic, but you want to make sure you're working with someone that is doing it at the level that you're doing it at. So the real estate business, not the coaching business, the actual real estate business. You want to make sure that their students are getting results. You want to make sure that they've been doing it for at least 6 months, not like a flash in the pan kind of thing. And you want to make sure that they broke a certain number of deals. For me, like I would want someone to be doing at least 300 deals or more so that they could reference and teach me from any perspective that's out there. Now, I say these things because this is the standard that I hold myself to and our other members that are part of our team that help our members. So that's what we do. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up for questions, but down below in the comments, if you find yourself wanting help with this stuff, or if you want to bounce some ideas out about marketing in your area, what you can do is you can come to socialmediablueprint.com/roundup, or just look at the link down in the description below and click that link. It's there for you. You can use it. You can jump on. Here's what will happen on a call like that. Okay. These calls, and I want to back up for a second because some people will say, well, Nate, hold on. Why would you even do these calls? Here's the thing. When you're working with sellers, I'm going to give you an analogy from the seller perspective. When you're working with sellers, what we want to do when we're sitting down with them is we want to be making offers from the heart. We let the pressure out of the room. We genuinely sit down and consult with them. I cannot tell you how many sellers that I've sat down with in my life that when I look at them and I look at their situation, I say, you know what? We really need to refer you to a realtor.
Can't help you.
Better for you. You do the same thing, Chris?
Yeah, consultation. Give them being from the consultant.
Bingo. From the consultants, just like Chris said. So the same thing happens. And the reason we do that is because we want them to succeed. We want their best interests in mind. And what happens is there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that when they can feel your heart is sincere, when they can feel that, they're going to want to do business with you. They're going to come back to you. Like I had one seller in Nashville, Tennessee, Cynthia, who I told her explicitly on call one, we're getting you with a realtor. This is the best for you. And so she's like, well, Nate, I don't know if I have enough time. And I'm like, let's just try this. I want to make sure you get the most for your house. And then she ended up coming back to me a week later and said, Nate, I didn't tell you this, but I'm also 3 months behind on my mortgage. They're taking me to sheriff's sale. Like, I don't have time. I really need to just work with you and I want to work with you. And so what you want to do with sellers is that you want to be a consultant for them. And the same thing for us, when we help people, other real estate investors on this call, we consult, we build marketing plans. And then the second biggest thing that we get from people is, well, hey, help me get started. How do I really figure this out? What's that plan look like? So we will look at your area. I've got a pretty fancy software where we can actually dig in and we can see what the stats look like in your area. We'll get onto Facebook. We'll search around and see what ads look like in your area, and we'll build a marketing plan for you. And then what you can do with that marketing plan, if you like it, you can take it and run. If you love it and you're like, hey, I just want to do this on my own, that's cool. You can take it and run. If you love it and you also want someone to help you build it, then ask us about that. And I do these calls, myself and a couple other people on our team, because I know there's always a certain percentage of people that do want to come back and say, hey, will you help me build this thing out? So that's the link right there. You got it. Chris put it up for you. Go ahead, use that. Click that.
It's in the video description below. Roundup. Just go ahead and you can click right on it. Actually, I put it in. Let me make sure it's in there. I'm trying to put it in there. Good information here, Nate.
And that link, it'll do a couple things. There'll be a little page where there's a little video that I asked Chris if he could help me with. On that, you just submit your name, your info. It will go to a question form. That question form is so that we can hit the ground running together. I want to know a couple things about you and about your business, like your name, email, standard stuff. And then after we get that, then it goes to the calendar, and you can pick any time that you want. So that's
you're going to take time to talk to them. You're not going to just send them to a sign-up form with a credit card.
Yeah. We talk first. Like I don't want $1 from anybody unless I know that we can actually help them. And even some folks that want to sign up, like if it doesn't make sense, we're going to tell you, like, doesn't make sense. We want you to do X, Y, Z first. Sometimes we refer them to other people, but
nice.
It starts with doing a call.
Nate, thank you for your time. I know you got a couple of things to cover. Round up, get your questions in the box for Nate. You got them right here. I promise you. It's very challenging to get this man on the phone here. I'm honored that he even takes the time out to come on. Nate, just explain posture, and I'm going to let you go with the questions, Q&A. Posture. I know cold calling so hot. Everybody wants to be doing that now, but I wanted you to just, why do I care about the posture when I'm talking to a seller? I mean, who cares?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so cold calling, the posture is we're going to them, asking them to do something for us. Okay, the posture with an inbound lead that's coming to you asking for help is totally different. It's now this person is coming to you saying, hey, can you help me with the situation? Why is that posture important? Well, if you value your sanity, if you value your time, if you value how you feel after you hang up the phone, this stuff matters big time. Let me give you an example. I had a lady that came to me that had cold called over 1,000 sellers.
Good Lord.
And then she came in, she asked if we could help her because she hadn't gotten any deals done. She's like, hey, can I have your guys' help with social media blueprints? And I'm like, well, what have you been doing in the past? And then she told me, she's like, well, I haven't given up yet, but I've cold called and I'm like, how many? 1,000 sellers.
Sheesh.
And I asked her, I said, how do you do it? Like, how are you not deflating? She's like, Nate, some days are tough. They're really tough. Like some people are so rude. They hang up on me. They yell at me, tell me to take them off their lists. Like, I'm like, holy cow. And so for her, like, thank God she hadn't quit. She still pushed forward, at least to the point where she got to us. And then we were able to help her with social media. But for most people, they would have quit. You get 300 leads in and it's not working, and you get hung up on and yelled at like that. Then it's like, I didn't sign up to be a cold caller. Like I signed up to make a difference in real estate and be an investor, but not a cold caller. So the posture of having sellers come to us is very important. If you value your time, if you value your energy, if you value your personal confidence, and confidence is a huge component of this business. Like when sellers are coming to you looking for help, they don't want to hear someone that's like, I don't know, maybe. Instead, they want to hear like, hey, we got you. No problem.
Got
and that confidence will come through.
Big time. People, you know what? I was reading a book. Confidence is magnetic. It just makes people just want to just cling to you, brother.
So true. It's Chris, like you're a super humble dude, but you carry a quiet confidence with you. Mm-hmm. And I think it's why you do so well at what you do. Like you are as real as the all day long, but you're confidently quiet. You don't have to run around and brag and flash fancy watches or anything. You just kind of do your thing and people can feel it.
You're right. It comes through, Nate. It's genuine. And you as well. Round up. Get your Q&A here for Nate. Social Media Blueprint. He is the guy, the geek behind the scenes, doing all this stuff and working out these numbers. I have no idea how long it would take me or anybody to figure this stuff out, Nate. It's just ridiculous. You want to do some Q&A, Nate? You got time or what?
Let's do it. Let's hit it.
How do you advertise on social media? I think we kind of.
So Edward, there's a couple different ways. Number one, Facebook is probably the platform that you should go to first. But Facebook, it looks like this. You build a business page. Once the business page is approved by Facebook, you start running ads from the business page. You do it just like we showed during this training right here, like my ad, the tip of the iceberg. And then what you got to do is start building below the waterline. The below the waterline is the comments below the thread. And then additionally, all the automations. Leads start coming in. What happens? Do they come to your cell phone by text message? Do you call them right away? Do you have a follow-up process? That's the missing component that you got to put in there.
That's big.
If you want help with that, Edward, then just give us a holler. Just use that link that you see down below in this description, and we'll give you help with it.
That's right, Edward. You could Nate is going to talk to you for no charge and answer a ton of questions if you got those too. He'll take out. I think it's 45 minutes, but Nate is going to literally talk to you guys. Him and his team take time out of their day to do that. It's just very admirable. And the follow-up process is just so important. Rhonda, Genesis, Nate, she's got a house, $500,000, equity, 85,000, which ain't no equity in my opinion on a $500,000 house. Rent $2,600. This is a lease option subject to deal. Nate, what's your opinion on that? You have the crystal ball. You can see all the numbers. You know the condition. You know it don't work.
I always love these questions because there's so many variables that can come into a deal. But let's scratch it from the surface, Rhonda. So you got the balance of the mortgage, I assume, is $525, and then it's worth above $600, somewhere in that range. It rents for $2,600. I assume that you're just taking over the existing financing, something like that. What I would want to know to call it a deal is, number one, is the real market value over 600? Because if it is, okay, there's some equity. So you got to have solid comps that prove that. And then number two, can you produce cash flow off of this? Mm-hmm. That 2,600, is that what you're paying for the mortgage, or is that market rent? If it's
go ahead, Nate. I'm sorry.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
It says she I guess the rent is 26. So let's presume, or let me ask you, are you going to presume that that's market rent maybe?
Yeah, only because it says rent. So I'm assuming that that's the rent. How much do we have to pay monthly for taxes, mortgage, and insurance?
Well, she's going to lease it out and do a sub. She looks like she's going to do a sandwich on this.
Okay.
Lease option to sublease. I thought it was sub too, but it's lease option to sublease it. So she's going to lease it out.
Okay. So Rhonda, what's market rent? If you're paying $2,600 out, what can you get market rent?
Yeah.
I want some cash flow in there. I don't want to get into a deal for free. I don't want to take speculative risks signing a contract unless I know I'm going to make upside on that contract. So if I could make, let's just say, $300 to $3,500 per month, okay, I consider that. Get some cash flow out of that deal. But I wouldn't want to sign up for it unless I was very confident that the market was there for me to make cash flow.
What type of down payment wet your whistle on these, Nate? I just on 525.
So
in your experience,
I aim for 10% down. I try to draw a hard line on it. Now, if I find a really good candidate, really good family that I think is going to be solid, I'll take 5%.
So you're looking to get 20 for my roundup people. I want to they understand this stuff. You're looking to get you're going in this deal, Nate. Like, look, I'm getting 25,000 minimum and $500 to $1,000 a month. That's what you're looking for in this type of a deal.
You got it. Yep.
Gotcha. Rhonda, you heard it from the man.
Now, not everyone's going to have 10% down. I assure you that. You're going to have plenty of people that try to offer you $1,000 down, or how about I just pay you the rent and not the down payment? So you got to be able to hold your ground, and then you got to be a little bit of a marketing machine with it. You got to create an open house.
Yeah.
So when we do it, we blast it all over Facebook Marketplace. We blast it on Craigslist. We create buzz. We run a couple Facebook ads. We hold a mini open house. Usually that open house, if it's not COVID, then the open house looks like this. It's a Saturday from 12 to 1. I want everybody coming and going at the same time. We got one person in the house showing the house, handing out applications. Here's the app. Fill out an app today. We collect those applications. That night, we determine who the best person is. On the application, it's a rental app, plus it asks 2 questions, addition to standard rental stuff. How much down payment can you do? What's the max monthly payment you can do? Now, when you're going through apps, it makes it easy to see who might be the best candidate. Someone's got 20 or 10% down. And I've even seen people that have more, like they run into a lump sum of money and they can pay more down.
Yep.
That's my person. As long as they're going to pass a background check, that's my person.
I've had Papa pay the down payment or grandma. You don't know where the money's coming from. Good question to Damien. Hey, Damien. Nate, with your program, do you also help us work with our sales skills?
Excellent question, Damien. I appreciate you even asking that. So there's 3 pillars to this. There's lead gen. That's the Facebook ads. There's talking to sellers. And then there's making offers. And the majority of real estate investors, they actually fall off on how to convert sellers on the phone, how to convert them in person when they're making the offers. So yeah, the majority of our program is actually around those conversions. The lead gen is one trick to get people to come to you. But really what has to happen is we need our people to be good at talking to the sellers, at genuinely presenting an offer from the heart. We've got a PowerPoint presentation that we send in with all of our people when they're meeting with sellers that helps them stay on script and really explain the process to the seller. And then we've got a spreadsheet that breaks down all the numbers, open book, so that the seller can follow along with the numbers too. And it makes a huge difference to the seller when you're negotiating, so to speak, to know that you're being transparent. So yeah, we absolutely help with those components.
Round up, this is still with Nate Armstrong today, talking about Facebook leads. I got some other people coming in from Facebook, Nate. Round up, if you want to book a call with Nate, it's absolutely free. Takes about 30, 40 minutes out of your day to see if Nate can help you. And if he can help you, he will give you some advice that will no doubt boost your career. The man's doing tons of deals. Let's go ahead to that link below and get signed up for a free phone call. Rodrika, she got some good leads, she says, but she's having issues with solid end buyers for traditional wholesale deals. I'm presuming she's talking about cash buyers, Nate.
Wholesale. Okay.
How do you build? For some reason, it's not populating over to. How do you build a better buyers list, Nate?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to even back up on this to try to help you long term. I want to take you through a little exercise. This is how to determine who the best buyer is. Now, think to yourself, you've got buyers that are landlords, you've got buyers that are flippers, and then that's predominantly the majority of them. And then there's various buyers, but flippers and landlords, those are predominantly the 2 that you run into the most. A flipper, when they buy a property, they got to get in there. They got to put in a new kitchen, new bathroom. They got to update everything. They have to spend more money than a landlord, and it takes them longer to do a rehab.
Yep.
How long do you think it takes them from the day that they put their money in that deal to the day that they get their money back? How long do you think that is?
Shit, I know it.
You guys can write comments in there. What do you think it is? It's not like HGTV, I promise. HGTV, you see that stuff in 1 hour. They're flipping houses. Bam, bam, bam. It's a long journey. If you look at the stats on realtytrack.com, they track nationally what the average flip cycle it is. It's 5.5 months in the hot markets, and in the slower markets, it's 7 months for the average.
Those are experts. I'm thinking to myself, I feel like I consider myself an expert doing where there's no huge hiccups, Nate.
Yeah. How long does it take you guys, your team?
Yeah, we're 4 to 6 months, brother. Because even if you sell it the day you list it, you got you got almost 2 months out for the loan to get processed.
Nailed it. Okay, so that's the flipper. Now, the flipper, if they had the same amount of money and they were trying to recycle it, just like Chris said, like it's taken them 6 months to do a deal, they could only do 2 deals a year with the same money. 2 deals.
Yep, that's it.
Now, the landlord is not doing new kitchen, new bathroom. They're doing paint, carpet, and they're usually out. It takes them a couple weeks to turn over a property. Now, a landlord doesn't have to list it for sale and wait for a buyer to come along. What a landlord does is they go back to their local credit union or their local bank and say, hey, I just bought another rental. I placed tenants. Will you help me with a cash out refinance? Don't worry about that sounding like too complicated. It's literally they're getting a loan on the property so they can get their cash out of it and go do another deal. Okay. that whole process, start to finish, when I was doing a lot of them, I was buying them with one chunk of money, then I'd go to the bank, refinance it, do it again. It usually took me 3 months, start to finish.
Gotcha.
Now, if a landlord's taken 3 months, how many deals can a landlord do in a year with the same pile of money? Flipper could do 2 deals. Landlord can do a deal every 3 months. How many deals can they do in a year?
That's 4.
4 of them. Boom. So from that analysis alone, who is a better client to work with? The flipper or the landlord? Landlord. Okay, so that's one level. Now I'm going to take it one level deeper. So a landlord's my favorite buyer because I can work with them on repeat sales, deal after deal after deal.
Can they pay more too, Nate?
Yeah, this is the next big one. Chris nailed this. A landlord can pay more. Here's why. Okay. When Chris is flipping a house, like, he's a great buyer, but Chris needs to buy it lower than the landlord.
I gotcha.
Chris has got to account for the new kitchen. He's got to account for the new bathroom. He's got to account for holding costs for a longer period of time. He's got to pay realtor fees. He's got to pay hard money oftentimes. Like, his list of expenses is much larger than the landlord's list of expenses. So the landlord can often pay far more than a flipper can. Now, there is a point in which that number does not hold true. If we start to get over like $300,000, then all of a sudden the cash flow on a rental can't keep up with the flippers. Mm-hmm. But if you're in a sub 300 market, the landlord is a better buyer. All day long, I will take landlord buyers. So with your question, like, how do I build a buyers list? I'd first focus on the right buyer. Know that when you put out ads and all that kind of stuff, you're going to get a bunch of flippers, but don't waste your time. Go for the landlords. They're better clients. Okay. Once you find a hotbed of them, you gravitate towards them. So like, I go onto Facebook and I run ads. I put up a quick buyer ad. Are you looking for more rental? Call me. Boom. Very, very basic ad. I will get blitzed on an ad like that. Kind of like if you've ever stepped on an anthill and you've seen ants running on an anthill. Buyers are crazy right now. Like, I feel like they're even stronger than before COVID right now in some markets because they were cooped up for 3 months. Now they're out there again, moving money around. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to find buyers as long as you're willing to put yourself out there and look for the right buyers.
Good answer, Nate. I'm just like, buyers. From my experience, the buyers are, they're depending on what you're looking for. We're like sharks in a bucket. I mean, just imagine sharks in a bucket. If you're just going to drop a fish, the deal is the fish. I mean, we're just going to just fighting over it, right? I mean, we're just waiting for somebody to drop something in our laps.
You got it. That's it. So the more valuable part is getting the deal. You get the deal, then you are in control.
There you go. You control it. Jeffrey. Hey, Jeffrey Soto. If you guys don't mind, put in your city where you guys are chiming in from so we know where you guys at. Nate, in your opinion, is social media ads more effective for leads versus SMS text blasting? So the guy the other day.
So Jeffrey, I'm not sure what your cost per deal is on text blasting. Some markets I've heard different numbers and all that kind of stuff. The thing that I think with text blasting is I think that it's going to be a short-term thing that's going to be banned pretty soon.
Can't last, man. It ain't gonna last, Nate.
Florida's already banned it. I know some people are still doing it, but if you read the fine print of the law, the Communications Act in Florida, text blasting is not legal right now. And the people that are still doing it, they're eventually going to get slapped and probably pinched. And when they do slap or pinch, they usually try to make an example out of somebody. And you don't want to be the example. So I wouldn't get too reliant on that. Maybe you still do it and you run with it as long as it's legal in your state, but I wouldn't rely on that forever. I'd start looking at ways that are going to be around forever. So for me, is it more effective? Like, social media for me, it works. It flat out works. More than half of Americans are on Facebook every day for 35 minutes a day. I can't get a billboard to get half of America for 35 minutes a day. I can't get Fox News, ABC News. I can't get any major network for 35 minutes a day, but Facebook you can. Half of America, 62%.
Thank you for that, Nate. Let's see. We got Sunny Terra. Why isn't this thing populating? Roundup, get your questions in for Nate. Social media blueprint showing you how to run ads on Facebook. How do you do your targeting on Facebook? Sunny Terra wants to know that. Nate?
Yeah, so Sunny Terra, Facebook, it depends if you're going to follow the rules or not. If you follow the rules, there's a little box that you're supposed to check in Facebook saying this is a real estate ad. And if you're running a real estate ad, then Facebook takes away the targeting because they don't want to violate fair housing laws. So if you're following the rules, then you can't do targeting. Now, you still can do targeting, but you have to be a better marketer. What do I mean by that? I mean this. When you see TV ads that are run nationally, like Super Bowl ads, they're targeting people through the language in the ad. They're still doing targeting, but they can't physically call Fox News or whoever's broadcasting the Super Bowl and say, hey, I only want you to run this to people living in my zip code. It just doesn't work like that. So on Facebook, as a real estate ad, that's what we have to do now. Our ad copy has to be really, really good. So if I only want sellers in Sherburne County, then I'm going to write that in my ad copy. Hey, I live in Sherburne County. I'm an investor here. I want more deals in Sherburne County. Like, you speak it to the marketplace. So that's how I do my targeting. Now, there is a way that you can hack around that, but I don't recommend doing that because Facebook's bots are going to catch you and then you're going to get into trouble for violating their ad policy. So I would just check mark box and follow the rules.
Follow the rules. Sonny, I'm going to leave it alone. It's amazing how the more I think about ads and copy, I can hear it immediately with that targeting you talked about, Nate. You hear commercial come on, I'm in the background. Are you 65 and facing retirement and don't have blah-da-da? Yeah. Are you a diabetic that hates sticking your finger with the thing? I mean, they are identifying immediately who they're talking to.
Yeah.
So what Nate is saying is like, go ahead, Nate. I'm sorry.
No, you're better than I am at this part. You nailed this. That's exactly how you target.
You don't know this until it's so amazing how you can use these marketing, the target stuff that Nate has put together to target exactly who you want. That's all.
Nailed it.
Jeffrey, Rito. Hello, guys. Any referrals to help me get inside on a short? Oh, I don't know about Nate. I don't know if I can help him with that one.
Rito, what I would do is I would Google search realtors in short sale in your market, and I would look for a realtor that does short sales that's open to doing some kind of marketing fee with you, or let you be the first offer on the short sale when the bank asks for it. The short sale process is it takes a long time, and I wouldn't waste my personal time on going down that path. I'd let someone that works that channel work that deal for you.
Good point, Nate. Please, Rito. I can say this because you're a follower. Don't waste your time trying to work the short sale process. Just get, like Nate said, get somebody that's an expert at doing all that paperwork. It's going to be a nightmare for you. Big O, how much can it cost to get the training? Oh, okay. How much does it cost for the training through you, Nate?
Yeah, Big O, great question. Actually, our prices raised Saturday, but it's not really relevant right now. If anyone that does book a call with us today, you're grandfathered into the price structure that we've got for all of Chris's followers.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, as long as you book a call today, then you're in. I can't give you a price quote right now because I don't know your situation. Do you have a website? Do you have pixels up? Do you know how to negotiate deals? Do you know how to do the calls? There are things that I don't know right now. It'd be malpractice if I started saying, hey, this is what you need without understanding your situation. But with 15 minutes on the phone, I'm 100% certain we can tell exactly where you're at and give you different options.
Gotcha. Mark Archer. Hey, Mark. Chris, I'm doing my very first deal. It's a sub 2. I'm not getting any money out of it. Because I'm helping a friend so he will not lose his parents' home, who are both deceased. Good for you, Mark. You know, the master warrior doesn't have to strike on every deal, Mark. I mean, just because you have the knowledge and you have the skill and the muscle and the weapons, you don't have to strike on every one of them. You're helping people. JL Holdings, would you give us an example of a situation you would say should not use your services? That's a good question, JL. Re-engineered that.
Yeah, I've got a perfect one. And this is where we built out a marketing plan for someone about a week ago. And they loved it. They wanted to move forward and they wanted us to build out their marketing for them. And we started asking questions like, well, are you open to text messaging leads? Are you open to thinking about leads in a different way and changing the way that you've been doing it in the past. This person had done a lot of cold calling and a lot of direct mail.
Ooh.
And when we started digging into it, we figured out that he wasn't open to doing anything different. And we said, you know what? We don't want to take a dollar from you. It's better that you just take our marketing plan. If you want to keep doing it your way, you do it your way. The thing is, it's kind of like that example when I gave of Moses. Moses didn't make it to the promised land, not because the guy was stupid. It's just because he got stuck in the thinking that always was. He figured out how to free his people and get across the desert, but he couldn't get into the promised land because he got stuck in old thinking. And right now, these leads that come in from digital platforms, they're different. They're human beings. We're all connected right now on a social platform. We're not like sitting in a room face to face, but this virtual environment has been created. This is the way that people are moving towards right now. But a month ago now, my Jeep got slammed at a stop sign. I was going through an intersection and some kid ran the stop sign, wrecked up my Jeep. I had to, for the insurance company, I had to go get some estimates on it. Well, I did the whole dance of going to get the estimates, but then the dealerships or auto body shops kept calling me back. And I was so busy and I'm like, I just don't want to talk to these guys. No way. And like, I kept ignoring their calls. Finally, Andrew Auto Body texted me and they said, hey, Nate, just wanted to let you know I can get your Jeep in next week. And if you give me your insurance agent's contact info, I'll take care of all the insurance for you. And also let me know if you need a rental car. And I got that in text and I'm like, holy cow, is this real? I text back and said, yes, here's his name. Boom. I get a text about an hour later saying, hey, your insurance agent emailed you something. You're good to go. We'll take your car in on Tuesday. Okay, that taught me a valuable lesson. You and I are just like that. Like, we're busy. So are our sellers. Our sellers are busy in their own world doing what they're doing right now. They're dealing with the auto body shop. They don't want to necessarily talk to us 24/7. So we have to be open to new ways of doing business. My one student in Sacramento, who's now doing deals across the country, Eli, he sent me this text message. He himself said to me, Nate, these sellers, they don't want to talk on the phone anymore.
Wow.
Here he is. He sent me pictures of 6 contracts and said to me, Nate, I hope you and your family are doing well. Can you imagine this? 4 contracts in 2 weeks and 2 more contracts on the way. Nice. I'm amazed by how good the Facebook system works. Thanks for your help, service, and understanding. God bless you. When I called him back, he told me that he got a deal by text message, never talked to the seller once. So your question, who wouldn't be a good fit for working with us? If anyone's like totally not open to trying new things and doing things a little different, then it probably wouldn't be a good fit. We're pretty progressive with making sure that the stuff we're doing works.
Round up, get your Q&A here. Damien's closed 6 deals. Good for you.
Awesome.
7 escrow. Good for you, brother. Plan on signing up for your program after the next deal. Do you show proof of your closed deals to people taking your program? I guess you just did.
Yeah. And Damien, you'll see if we end up jumping on the phone and talking and you want to go through that stuff, no problem. We practice what we preach here. You'll see it. And then almost every other day on social media, there's more posts of what we're doing with our business. The majority of my income now for the last 5 years has come from real estate. It's not from teaching other people how to do this stuff. It's not from building marketing campaigns. Sure, we do get paid something to do that, but it's nowhere near as much as our real estate business pays out. So I'll never quit doing real estate. Real estate's in my blood, and that's our long-term stuff.
Gotcha. Nick, it's taking me almost a year. Okay, we were talking about those flips earlier. A year.
Yeah.
And he's got my guidance. I mean, I've been talking to him. Just stuff happens.
Yep.
This is a gold mine. Miguel, this is a gold mine for landlords. That's true. Craig, how do you find landlord buyers?
Great question, Craig. So whenever you're attracting somebody through marketing, you want to think about the pain points that they're going through. Okay. So let's brainstorm a little bit. Earlier, we talked about the probate sellers. Now we'll talk about landlord buyers. What is a complaint that goes through your mind when you're talking to landlord buyers? What are they saying to you? What are you feeling in the marketplace? Now, my landlord buyers, they can't find deals. They're tired of seeing overpriced stuff sent via the MLS. They're tired and exhausted with getting into multiple offer situations. So when I start writing ad copy to attract those buyers, I'm going to hit those pain points. Are you tired of getting into multiple offer situations, chasing your next rental?
Nice.
So that'll be the header. And then I'll add text that says, hey, I've been helping landlords just like you for the last couple of years. I can help you too. Here's how I can help. Click the button below and I'll send you some of my deals.
Good one. That's the last cue. Everybody's saying thank you, Rhonda. Yes, thank you. That's all we got. Round up. Make sure you get signed up for a phone call with Nate. He's going to take time out of his day, him and his team, to talk to you, see how they can help you with this Facebook marketing thing. Or you could just try to build it out on your own. I mean, that is possible, right, Nate? I mean, they don't necessarily have to use a company like yours. They can just go try to figure it out, correct?
Yeah, you totally can try to figure it out. Just don't quit. A lot of people will quit because the tech stuff gets a little bit cumbersome unless you have guidance. If you got guidance, this stuff is really, really easy.
Final thoughts? We'll get you out of here, Nate. Final thoughts on somebody getting interested in social media, Facebook ads, and then you can let you go.
Yeah. Main thing for anyone that's trying to do this real estate business, follow Archie Williams' example. Archie Williams sat in prison for over 20 years and he never gave up. The same thing has to be true for you and for your business. You got big goals, you got big aspirations, and a lot of people I see quit too soon because they just didn't have the right guidance. They didn't have someone showing them the ropes, and then therefore they get frustrated and quit. And if your dream is big enough, you shouldn't quit. You should keep going, keep pushing. So just get the guidance that you need.
Thanks, Nate. Okay, I won't hold you any longer. Round up. That's all we got for you. Nate, thank you so much. I'll be talking to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
Yes, sir. Round up. You heard it from the man. The social media stuff. If you ain't on here, if you ain't on this thing right here, I pray that you get on it soon. Listen, we barely made it out of here. I forgot to say thank you for joining us. Right, we barely made it out of this hurricane. Came through Roundup Monday night, knocked our power off. Tuesday and Wednesday had to get a generator so my food wouldn't thaw out. So it's been crazy on my side, and I hope you guys are okay out there. Hurricane season for us, so it's a little challenging, but I'm going to do my best to continue to bring value because that's my purpose. I found out I'm taking a class now. Once you get a purpose that's big, a real big purpose, it'll push you for 30, 40 years. Let me tell you what I mean by purpose. If your purpose is to get a car, you can get that, right? Your purpose is to get a house, you can get that, right? New pair of shoes, whatever, get a boo, you can get that stuff. I'm talking about purposes that are big, serving mankind, right? Somebody that's going to run a nation, or somebody that's going to lead people into a different category of understanding, a new narrative. So here's the thing. My purpose, in my opinion, I want to have a big purpose in life. So that's what kind of pushes me 20, 30, 40 years and beyond to serve you. So thank you for letting me do that. Listen, subscribe, share this content. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I will be coming on. No doubt I'm still working on different people. Who would you like to see on the channel? We always are looking for good content to bring to you. And I just had a deal. Seller backed out of the contract, so I'm going to be taking you blow by blow how we're going to. I got to sue a seller. I'm so mad at doing this. I did not want to do this. Had to hire an attorney, paying thousands of dollars to actually go after a seller that didn't want to sign the contract. They don't want to come to closing. So I'm dealing with that now in my life. So just part of doing business, Roundup, part of doing business, your pain tolerance. What is your pain tolerance? If you think you're going to get in and just get a deal, you're not going to have any issues, you're going to call a few sellers, get a deal, not going to happen, right? Not going to happen. So look forward to Real Estate Investor's Guide to Section 8 Housing. Any day now, I'm going to do a video. It'll be done. Just everything's been backed up. I'm not complaining. Still cranking out the content for you because I think as we approach the end of the year, Section 8 is going to be the best way to guarantee your rent's coming in. So I'm going to make sure I teach you how to do that step by step. Okay, guys. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Baby.